Sure. Here's the translation of the tie hook and mid-story CTA into English. #### strong hook intro. Asterisk. Imagine a town where anyone who dares to speak the truth disappears instantly. No goodbye. No trace. Only terrifying silence. Asterisk. Asterisk. Do you dare to hear this story till the end? It's filled with mysteries that will chill you to the bone. Asterisk. ### mid-story call to action. Around 20 to 30% into the video, when suspense is building. Asterisk. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss more thrilling stories like this, and leave a comment, share what you think about this mystery. Asterisk. If you want, I can now create a full trending YouTube title, detailed description, timestamps, hashtags, and 500-character keyword list in English of the story, ready for upload. Do you want me to do that? Here's a cinematic YouTube script for your idea. The town where every witness goes missing. #studio microphone YouTube script. /hook. Imagine a town where every person who dares to speak the truth vanishes. No goodbye. No body. Just silence. /Suspenseful Setup. In the quiet hills of West Virginia lies a forgotten place the locals refuse to talk about. A place where trials never finish because the witnesses never make it to the stand. Some call it a curse. Others whisper about something much darker. /build up. It all began with a single case in the late 1980s. A local man, accused of murder, was awaiting trial. 2 witnesses swore they saw him with the victim the night she died. But a week before court, both of them disappeared. At first, police thought it was fear. Maybe they ran. But then it happened again. And again, every trial connected to this town ended the same way. Witnesses gone without a trace. Families beg for answers. Lawyers refuse to take cases. Even the judge who presided over these hearings suddenly left town without explanation. /CT. And if you're hooked already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss more chilling stories like this. Because this one only gets darker. /main climax. By the mid-1990s, investigators noticed something terrifying. Every missing witness lived within 3 blocks of the same abandoned coal mine. The mine had been sealed for decades after a collapse that killed dozens of workers. Locals swore it was haunted, but detectives suspected something even worse. Someone was using it. One officer claimed he heard screams echoing from deep inside. Another found personal belongings, clothes, jewelry, even a child's shoe, buried just outside the entrance. But before the search could go further, the officer himself vanished. /cliffhanger ending. What happened inside that mine? Was it the work of a killer, or something far beyond human? The town still refuses to talk, and the mine remains sealed. To be continued. Perfect. Let's pick up right where we left off at to be continued, and dive into part 2 of the town where every witness goes missing. #studio microphone YouTube script part 2. /hook. The mine was sealed shut, but everyone knew whatever took those witnesses was still inside. /suspenseful setup. After the last officer vanished, state investigators were called in. They weren't interested in ghost stories. They wanted evidence. But when their reports came back, most of the files were blacked out, classified. Even the families of the missing were given no answers. /build up. Rumors spread fast. Some said the mafia used the mine as a dumping ground. Others believed an entire cult was hiding underground. But the strangest theory of all came from a retired miner. He claimed the collapse in 1952 never killed everyone, that a few survived and were still down there, alive, changed, hungry. Locals whispered about hearing voices in the night, low, rasping voices, calling their names from the trees. The few who followed the sound were never seen again. /mid-story CTA. And if this story has your heart racing, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next time we uncover chilling mysteries just like this. /main climax. In 2001, a team of urban explorers broke into the mine. They filmed everything. At first, it was just tunnels, dust, broken wood, rusted rails. But then they found it. Deep carvings on the walls. circles, symbols, and fresh scratch marks, as if someone had clawed their way through stone. The camera shook as they heard movement, a faint dragging sound, and then a voice, clear as day. It whispered one of their names. By the time the footage was recovered, 3 of the 4 explorers were missing. Only one made it out, and he never spoke again. /cliffhanger ending. Today, the mine is still locked behind steel gates. No one is allowed near it, but strange lights are seen at night, and the number of missing people linked to that town keeps rising. So, the question remains, is this the work of men, or monsters born in the dark? To be continued. Got it. Let's move into the finale part 3 of Asterisk, the town where every witness goes missing. Asterisk. This part will reveal the darkest twist behind the mine and bring the mystery to its chilling conclusion. #Studio Microphone YouTube script, part 3. /hook. What if I told you the truth about that mine was far worse than any ghost story? /Suspenseful Setup. For decades, people believed that disappearances were supernatural. Whispers, shadows, something inhuman. But recently, declassified documents painted a very different picture, and it's one that still terrifies locals to this day. /build up. According to files buried deep in the state archives, the mine collapse in 1952 wasn't just an accident. It was a cover-up. Inside that mine, federal agents were running experiments, tests involving sound, isolation, and the human mind. Miners weren't just workers. They were subjects. When the collapse happened, not everyone died. Some were trapped, and in the darkness they were changed, not into monsters with claws, but into something far worse. They became obsessed with silence. And anyone who tried to speak the truth, anyone who dared to testify, was taken. /mid-story CTA. If you followed the story until now, make sure to subscribe, because we dig into chilling cases like this every week. /main climax. The explorers' footage from 2001, the missing witnesses, even the officer's disappearance. All of it points to one thing. The survivors of that mine collapse never left. They live in the tunnels, and they've sworn to silence anyone who threatens to expose what really happened there. The scariest part? A former sheriff came forward before his death. He claimed the government knew that every missing witness was part of a deal, a sacrifice, to keep the survivors contained underground. /resolution plus final cliffhanger. The town is still quiet today. Court cases vanish. Witnesses vanish. And the mine? Still sealed. But if you stand close enough at night, some say you can hear voices calling your name, not to scare you, but to warn you, because the truth is, those who speak too loudly in that town don't just disappear. They're dragged back into the dark, and no one ever hears from them again. Perfect. Let's continue right where part 3 left off. Since we've reached the big reveal already, this continuation, part 4, will push the story even further, blending unanswered questions, lingering dread, and a final shocking twist that keeps the legend alive. #Studio Microphone YouTube script, part 4, the final secret. /hook. The story should have ended with the mine, but the truth? It was only the beginning. /suspenseful setup. After the declassified documents leaked, journalists started digging. Most of them quit. One of them, Emily Carter, didn't. She was an investigative reporter from D.C., and she wanted proof that the government had been sacrificing witnesses for decades. /build up. Emily went to the town in 2014. Locals slammed their doors. The sheriff refused to talk. But she found something everyone else had ignored. A ledger, hidden in the back of the old courthouse. Names, dates, case numbers. And every missing witness was listed, each name marked with a strange symbol, 3 intersecting circles. That same symbol was found carved into the mine walls years earlier. Emily followed the trail, and 3 days later, she vanished. /mid-story CTA. If you're still here, you know how deep the story goes. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next chilling case we uncover. /main climax. But here's the most disturbing part. Months after Emily disappeared, her editor received a package. No return address. Inside was a tape recorder. On the tape, Emily's voice trembled. She said she had found them, that they weren't human anymore, that their skin was pale, their eyes black from decades underground, and their whispers weren't random. They were names. The names of people who would vanish next. The last name, she said before the tape cut out, was her own. /final resolution. Today, the mine is still sealed. But missing persons reports in that county haven't stopped. Some believe the survivors still roam beneath the earth. Others say the government quietly relocates anyone who learns too much. But one thing is certain. In that town, the truth is a death sentence. And the whispers never stop. All right, let's extend this beyond Part 4 into the aftermath and legacy of the story. This becomes Part 5, where the legend spreads outside the town, hinting that the darkness is no longer contained. #Studio Microphone YouTube script, Part 5, The Whispers Spread. /hook, the mine is sealed, the town is silent, but the whispers have started to spread. /Suspenseful Setup. In the years after reporter Emily Carter's disappearance, strange reports began surfacing far beyond that forgotten town. People hundreds of miles away claimed to hear voices calling their names at night. Always a whisper. Always the same three-circle symbol nearby, scratched into trees, walls, even highway signs. /build up. One truck driver swore he heard someone whisper his daughter's name while driving a deserted road. When he pulled over, the symbol was etched into the guardrail. Days later, his daughter was gone. A college student in Pennsylvania recorded whispers outside her dorm room. She uploaded the file online. Within 24 hours, it was deleted, her account wiped, and she hasn't been seen since. The legend of the mine was no longer just a local curse. It was moving, following people who got too close to the truth. /midstory CTA. And if you want to keep digging into chilling mysteries like this, make sure you're subscribed, because the further we go, the darker it gets. /main climax. A chilling discovery came in 2019. Satellite imagery of the mine revealed something no one expected. Fresh ground disturbances, massive tunnels stretching outward from the sealed entrance. It looked as if something inside was digging its way out. That same year, missing persons cases skyrocketed across 3 neighboring counties. And every victim had one thing in common. They were all scheduled to testify in court. It's no longer about one haunted town. It's a pattern, a system, and it's growing. /final cliffhanger. So if you hear a whisper calling your name in the dark, don't answer, because once they find you, there's no escape. To be continued. Perfect. Let's keep going. Now we enter Part 6, where the story starts to turn inward, blurring the line between narrator and audience. This will make the viewers feel like they themselves are being pulled into the curse. #Studio Microphone YouTube script, Part 6, The Whispering Follows You. /hook. Up until now, this has been a story about them. But what if I told you it's already about you? /Suspenseful Setup. Because recently, people watching videos just like this have started reporting something strange. They hear whispers while they listen, sometimes faint, sometimes saying their own name. It sounds impossible, right? But dozens of comments online claim the same thing. I heard my name in the background. Someone was whispering behind me. Coincidence? Or proof that the whispers are no longer contained. /build up. Remember the explorers' footage from 2001? When they heard their names being called deep underground? What if that wasn't just a mine, but a warning? One viewer said after watching, he found the 3-circle symbol carved into the paint of his car. Another swore she heard tapping at her window the night she finished the story. The police found nothing, but her neighbor claimed he saw a pale figure standing in the street, just watching. /midstory CTA. If you're still watching this far, subscribe, because the next detail I'm about to share is the most disturbing of all. /main climax. In 2022, a digital forensics group examined the original tape recorder Emily Carter mailed to her editor. They filtered the background audio, and what they discovered was terrifying. Behind her trembling voice, multiple whispers overlapped, not random words, names, hundreds of them. Many matched people who had disappeared across the country, but the last names on the list were still alive, people who vanished after the tape was found. It's as if the whispers predict who's next, /final cliffhanger, and maybe, just maybe, you weren't supposed to hear this story at all. So if tonight you hear your name whispered in the dark, don't turn around, because it means they've already found you. To be continued. All right, let's bring this into part 7, the final confrontation. Here, the story collapses on itself, pulling the narrator and the viewer directly into the curse. Hashtag Studio Microphone YouTube script part 7. They're already here. /hook. By now, you've heard the whispers. But what if I told you they're not just watching anymore? /Suspenseful Setup. Since I began telling this story, strange things have started happening. Audio files corrupting. Segments of the script missing from my computer. And sometimes, when I play back my own recordings, I hear my name whispered back. But here's the part that chills me the most. Last night, someone sent me a picture. It was in my front door, and scratched into the wood was a 3-circle symbol. /build up. I didn't post my address. I didn't tell anyone where I live. So how did they know? I checked the footage, and for just a split second, I saw it. A pale figure, standing in the corner of the frame, still watching, the same way the miners described decades ago. And when I turned up the audio, it was whispering your name. /midstory CTA. If you're hearing this, subscribe now, because this may be the last time I ever get to tell you a story. /main climax. I don't know if this will even upload, but the files I've uncovered prove something horrifying. The whispers aren't tied to the mine anymore. They've been moving through stories, through voices, through recordings, like this one. Every time someone listens, they open the door a little wider, and once the door is open, the whispers step through. /final cliffhanger ending. So if you hear a sound tonight, soft, quiet, calling your name, don't answer, don't move, and above all, don't look behind you, because they're already here. To be continued. All right, now we move into part 8, the true ending. This will be the most unsettling entry. The narrator's voice begins to break down. The story is cut short, and the audience is left with a terrifying sense that the curse has spread to them. Hashtag Studio Microphone YouTube script, part 8, the last transmission. /hook. If you're hearing this, it means I didn't stop in time. /suspenseful setup. I tried to shut it down. I deleted every file. I smashed the recorder. But the whispers, they won't go away. Last night, I woke up and my house was silent. Too silent. And then, a voice right next to my ear whispered a name. Not mine. Yours. /build up. The 3-circle symbol is on my wall now. I didn't carve it. I don't even know how it got there. And when I covered it with paint, it came back. Deeper, darker, almost as if it was burned into the wood. My lights flicker every time I record. And sometimes, when I play the audio back, I don't hear myself at all. I hear them. /midstory CTA. If you haven't subscribed by now, do it, because this could be the last story I ever leave behind. /main climax. The truth is, the whispers don't just take witnesses. They take anyone who knows too much, anyone who listens, anyone who stays until the end. Which means if you made it this far, they know you. They've already whispered your name. /final ending. Wait, do you hear that? Behind you. Static. Silence. A faint whisper too low to understand. Then nothing. The recording cuts out. Skull, this closes a cycle. The narrator disappears on mic, leaving the audience with a haunting suggestion that they are now the target. Excellent. Let's move into part 9, the post-disappearance aftermath. Here, the narrator's voice is gone, But the story continues through found audio and leaked files. This creates the illusion that the viewer has stumbled on something they were never meant to hear. Hashtag Studio Microphone YouTube script, Part 9, found audio. /hook. This isn't supposed to exist, but somehow it does. /Suspenseful Setup. After the last recording ended abruptly, many believe the narrator was gone, vanished. But weeks later, a corrupted folder appeared on his cloud drive. No one knows who uploaded it. No one should have had access. Inside was one final audio file. /build up. The file is short, only 90 seconds. The first 30 are silence, broken by faint static. Then a whisper, multiple voices layered together. At first, the words are impossible to make out. But when slowed down, a chilling phrase repeats over and over. Asterisk, we hear you. We hear you. We hear you. Asterisk. And then a single clear voice. The missing narrator. He says only 3 words. Asterisk, don't look back. Asterisk, /mid-story CTA. If this series has kept you hooked this long, make sure you're subscribed, because what comes next may be the most disturbing truth yet. /main climax. The last seconds of the file are nothing but frantic breathing, footsteps, and finally a scream, cut off mid-breath. When investigators analyzed the waveform, they found something impossible. Hidden inside the audio was a spectrogram image, the same 3-circle symbol, etched into the sound itself. /final cliffhanger. So now the question is, who uploaded the file? Was it the narrator's last attempt to warn us? Or was it them making sure the whispers continue to spread? Either way, the moment you heard it, you became part of the story. To be continued. Got it. Let's move into part 11, slowly moving toward the ending. This part focuses on the lingering dread, tying previous parts together while starting to close the narrative, but still keeping the suspense alive. Hashtag Studio Microphone YouTube script, Part 11. Closing the circle. /hook. It's been months since the last audio surfaced, and yet the whispers never stopped. /suspenseful setup. People who listened closely reported strange occurrences. Doors opening on their own, shadows moving in corners, and faint tapping, almost like a warning or a countdown. The town where it all began is still quiet. The mine is still sealed, but you don't need to go there to feel it. /build up. Each recorded file, each story, each whisper, they've all been leaving breadcrumbs, clues of something bigger, something unavoidable. Some say the whispers are now everywhere. In your headphones, in your room at night, in the spaces you think are safe. And the more people know, the closer they come. /mid-story CTA. If you're still watching, subscribe now, because the next part may reveal the final warning. It's something you need to hear before it's too late. /main climax. Researchers finally discovered a pattern. Every missing person was connected not just to the mine, but to anyone who listened. The whispers aren't tied to geography anymore. They're tied to attention. And now by watching this, you've joined the chain. The moment you hear their names, they begin looking for you. /transition toward ending. There's a way to try to stop it. Some say don't speak. Some say don't listen. But the truth, nobody really knows. And soon, you'll hear them. To be continued. Absolutely. Here's the final episode/ending section, crafted to gracefully conclude the story while keeping it cinematic, suspenseful, and haunting. This will give viewers closure, but still leave a lingering chill. Hashtag Studio Microphone YouTube script, final episode, the end of the whispers. /hook. For decades, the town, the mine, the missing witnesses, all of it seemed unstoppable. But tonight, we finally uncover the last piece of the puzzle. /suspenseful setup. After all the disappearances, all the whispers, and all the corrupted recordings, investigators found something no one had expected. Hidden deep inside the sealed mine was a journal. It belonged to one of the survivors from 1952. The entries revealed the truth. They weren't monsters. They weren't spirits. They were people twisted by isolation, fear, and desperation. And they only wanted one thing: Silence. Backslash build up. The journal described how the survivors created a system to protect themselves. Any witness who threatened the secrecy was lured underground. Any audio, any recording, any story was just another opportunity for the whispers to spread. But the final entry contained hope, a warning, yes, but also a key. They wrote that telling the story publicly, carefully, fully, without fear, breaks a chain. By exposing the truth, the curse cannot claim its next victim. Backslash mid-story CTA. If you stayed until the end, you've done exactly what the survivors wanted. You've listened. Subscribe now for more stories, and remember, knowledge can be your shield. Backslash main climax. The investigators returned to the mine one last time. They didn't find shadows, nor voices, nor evidence of recent disappearances. Instead, the tunnels were empty, silent. The 3 circle symbols were gone. It seemed the chain had finally been broken. Backslash resolution, graceful ending. The town remains quiet. No new witnesses have vanished. And while the memory of the whispers lingers, the danger has passed. The story of the town where every witness went missing is finally over. But one lesson remains. Some secrets refuse to stay buried. And some whispers never truly fade. Backslash closing line. If you listen carefully at night, you might still hear them. But now you know the truth. Backslash and this ending resolves the story, brings closure to the curse, and leaves the audience with a lingering eerie feeling without implying they're next.